Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here once again, and welcome to part 2 of my Walk Through the Years tutorial starting in 1960. After kicking things off last week with Apache by the Shadows from 1960, this week we're going to have a look at how to play the classic Little Sister by the one and only Elvis Presley from, you guessed it, 1961. The legendary Scottie Moore on guitar, if I'm not mistaken. Great fun to play this one and well worth learning. Let's close in and get started, shall we? Good then, Scottie Moore, Elvis Presley, and Little Sister from 1961. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial. Nice twangy tone on our guitar here. We're starting with an E major chord. With that right there. We're repeating the same strumming pattern twice of this E major chord. It's kind of a down, down, up, down quickly, and then 4 more downstrokes. Kind of like that, repeated twice. Into this. So we're going off to open E after the strumming that E major chord. Boom, 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 boom. You're going to hit that twice and then drop onto the 3rd fret of the low E, hit that twice with a little bit of a waggle, and repeat. And then we're into the chorus as this song starts with the chorus. So you're just going to let that open E ring. Little sister, don't you? And then we're into this lick, which we're going to repeat twice. Right there. 3rd fret of the high E, little micro bend. Then off to open E, drop onto the 3 of the B, off to open. And then you're going to drop onto the 2 of the G, all in one motion, hammer onto 3, pull it back off to 2, pull it off to open, and then drop onto the 2 of the D string and let it ring. And repeat. Right? And then we're into A. With that right there before going back off to E again. Just an A bar chord here at the 2nd fret. We're going to bounce off the 3rd fret of the low E. So you're kind of hitting that twice, drop onto that 3, back to that twice, back to that 3, back to that twice, back to that again on the 3rd fret, that G note, and then back to that A 3 times to finish up. Right, then off to E, and then we're into this lick. And then we're going to drop into a B7 chord after we play that lick. So we're sliding into this little double stop here on the G and B string, but catching the high E, open high E along with it. 4th of the G, 3rd of the B. You're going to go off to the 2 of the G and then right back into that double stop. Right? And then you're going to slide into that 2 more times. And then grab the 3 of the G, pull it off to 2 off to open, and then 2 of the D off to open. Right, and then we're going to drop into a B7 chord, 4 middle strings. We're not going into a full B7 because we're not really getting down to the high E. It's just the 4 middle strings. 2 of the A, 1 of the D, 2 of the G. Right, just downstroke that 5 or 6 times. Move it up to C7 and then back to B7. Right? And then back into the lick again. To finish the chorus. So that is the chorus. Repeating that twice. Into A. Off to open E. Play that lick. Into B7, C7, B7, E. And then play that lick again before dropping into the first verse. Just before you drop into the first verse, when you play that lick, grab the open G, and then hammer back onto that 2. Now, there's 3 verses in this track, and they're all based out of the E major, but he's doing something different every time. The first verse goes something like this. Repeated 3 times. So we're holding this little E major shape here just on the D, G, and B string, 2 of the D, 1 of the G, and just bouncing off to open D and back onto that 2, right? Ba, 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 bum, 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 bum. And to finish it up, you're going to grab the 2 of the A and back to open D. Right, repeated 3 times. And then you finally drop into that E major again, hit it, choke it off, and then drop into a full E major chord and downstroke it about 8 times. And then we drop into the chorus again with that lick. Right, twice. And then back into A. And then back into that lick again. B7, C7, B7, E. Into the next verse. Now the next verse is just hanging in E major the entire time. Just bouncing from the bottom strings to the top strings, right? Catching them on the upstroke. Choke it off, downstroke it about 8 times, right into the next chorus. Now, after the first chorus, where he just hangs on that 2, right? All the other choruses, he's kind of catching the top 2 strings on the upstroke. Kind of like that, right? And then drops into A. Now at this point he's going to play that little fill line, but he's going to play a little different one. That right there, a little bar here on the 10th fret of the B and the high E, hammering onto 12, and he does that like 5 times. It's like a little group of 3 and then a little group of 2. Backs up to the 10 of the B, pulls it off to 8, grabs the 9 of the G back to the 8, right? Back into B7, C7, B7, back into that lick again, into the 3rd verse. Now the 3rd verse, back into E major. He's just bouncing off the 3rd fret of the B string here, right? Going from the bottom strings to the top strings, and then dropping onto that 3 of the B, and then off to the high E. Hit it, choke it off, downstroke 8 times, 8 or 9 times, right? Back into the lick again. Right back into A. Back into that lick again. B7, C7, B7. Now at this point we're just going to go right back into that lick again. Right back into B7 to C7, right? And that just repeats 3 or 4 times as the song fades out. And there you go. That is how you play Little Sister by Elvis Presley. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you. And we will see you next time. Cheers.